Well, after weeks of testimony and nearly 8 hours of closing arguments, the jury deciding former President Donald Trump's fate will now begin deliberations today.
And with 34 felony counts to decide, it's unclear how long the deliberations will take. Let's get right to Good Day's Robert Moses. He is live outside that courthouse in Lower Manhattan. And Robert, you've been following this trial since it started back in mid-April.
Yes, that's right, Tashani and Dan. 22 witnesses, dozens of exhibits, a marathon day of closing arguments, and now this. It's time for deliberations. In just a few hours later on this morning, a panel of 12 New Yorkers will begin to make one of the weightiest decisions in American history.
When court resumes at 10 a.m., Judge Juan Merchan says he will take about an hour to instruct jurors before they begin their deliberations. Then the 7 men and 5 women, everyday New Yorkers, will hold the fate of another New Yorker, Donald John Trump, in their hands. Closing arguments dragged on until about 8 last night. By then, prosecutor Joshua Steinglass had spoken for more than 5 hours. Everything Mr. Trump and his cohorts did in this case was cloaked in lies, Steinglass said. He acknowledged the imperfections of the prosecution's star witness, Michael Cohen, the former president's longtime fixer, who paid porn star Stormy Daniels to stay quiet and was later reimbursed. "We didn't choose Michael Cohen to be our witness. We didn't pick him up at the witness store," Steinglass said. "The defendant chose Michael Cohen to be his fixer because he was willing to lie and cheat on the defendant's behalf." This case could well hinge on whether the jury believes Cohen. Earlier in the day, former President Trump's attorney, Todd Blanche, assailed Cohen's credibility during his nearly 3-hour-long closing argument. Blanche called Cohen literally like an MVP of liars and the GLOAT, or greatest liar of all time. Blanche beseeched the jury not to send his client to prison based on Cohen's testimony. That drew Merchan's ire. "I think that saying that was outrageous," Merchan told Blanche. "Someone who's been a prosecutor as long as you have and a defense attorney as long as you have, you know that making a comment like that is highly inappropriate. It's simply not allowed, period." Merchan told jurors to disregard Blanche's comment because they're not to consider potential punishment as they deliberate. That's up to him. The drama inside was nearly eclipsed by the drama outside.
"You are gangsters! You are gangsters!"
The former president's supporters clashed with actor Robert De Niro after he, along with 2 men who defended the Capitol on January 6th, headlined a campaign event for President Joe Biden in the shadow of the courthouse.
Donald Trump wants to destroy not only the city, but the country, and eventually he could destroy the world.
2 of the former president's sons, Eric and Don Jr., held their own press conference.
That it is a political persecution. It is a witch hunt.
It is now up to the jurors to write the ending of this script that not even Hollywood could author. The former president can only watch.
We have a rigged court case that should have never been brought.
The former president could spend up to 4 years behind bars for each of 34 counts if convicted. Now, an important caveat here, even if he is convicted on some or all of those counts, he may not spend any time behind bars at all. That's a distinct possibility. And again, remember, sentencing is up to Judge Juan Merchan. Also, the former president has to remain here at the courthouse for the duration of deliberations, however long that may be. Tashani, back to you.
A historic case indeed, Robert. Thank you.